Hello, brothers and sisters. I am here in Korea. It is extremely beautiful. We've just come to the end of a whole week of meetings with Mother and other leaders, and a workshop and sightseeing and a lot of prayer. And there's so much actually that I want to convey to you, and so much that I will share with you, our leaders will share with you over the next several weeks and months. But this is really a time that Mother wants us to prepare for a new beginning. Now that's good, a new beginning. We're in the 10th year of Cheon, and we're about 1 year away from the Cheon Gung being opened on May 5, 2023. So there's many things that happened while we were here. The environment, first of all, is gorgeous. It is springtime. The azaleas, they're blooming when we arrived. The cherry blossoms were singing and dancing through the spring breeze. Everywhere you go here is so gorgeous, so gorgeous. And this is perhaps the best time of year also to be here. And so I can say for Asia Pacific 1, we're preparing our third HJ Love offering for our donation, but we're also preparing our second piggy bank to come here as a couple, to come here as a family, to come here with our friends, acquaintances, our tribes, and not just once. Think of it as just the beginning of a whole wave of incredible pilgrimage to this holy site. And Mother is preparing the environment so beautifully, so beautifully. So for today's message, I want to kind of give you a little bit of an overview, and essentially I'm going to read Mother's words from the ceremony that was held. Hopefully many of you watched it live and heard the message directly from True Mother. So I'm just going to read it now, and we're going to unpack it a little bit together. First of all, the title of the message is True Mother's message at the ceremony to offer our resolve to successfully dedicate the Cheon Gung. And it was also the unveiling of the obelisk, which you may be able to see if you zoom in, is that tall stone pillar that has been erected at the front of the Cheon Gung, and it has an amazing light at the top that can be seen for miles around. And Mother gave this speech up there, if you saw. So we were all gathered in the main square, in the main center top platform of the building, and a stage was prepared. It was a really great opportunity to see how much the building has developed. But there's still a lot of work to do, and it is an incredibly ambitious, extremely ambitious and complex project to complete. So when you look at the title here, just the title, ceremony to offer our resolve to successfully dedicate the Cheon Gung. First, I want you to understand the meaning of this title. So, yeah, dedicate the Cheon Gung and successfully dedicate the Cheon Gung. You know what that means. But what does it mean to offer our resolve? Why are we offering our resolve to finish that building? What do we have to do? You know, the builders are building it, right? Well, so first of all, I think that our offering that we're preparing is, of course, very substantially connected to contributing to completing the building successfully. But also our determination to come here next May and to be here physically, not even knowing whether or not everything will be done, but just totally trusting and believing that Mother's intention will come to pass. I believe that also has a substantial, positive effect, because we're already planning to come. So we're assuming it's all going to be done. But it's not just these external matters about finishing the building. Mother's also guiding us, and you'll see through the speech, Mother is guiding us to more deeply prepare internally. which has to do with both understanding and our internal resolve and determination to take responsibility also internally. So, and in this speech, Mother is just hinting at some things that I bet you may have missed if you just listened or read it once. So please follow every word carefully and let me unpack it as we go. Mother comes out and she says, looking beautiful, Mother looks beautiful, and she said, "Isn't it a beautiful day? Do you now have a sense of what this sanctum will look like? This is a historic day, not only in history, but also in the course of heaven's providence, on which the temple where our heavenly parent can be attended on earth has been established." So what Mother is building here is not just another building. It's historical in human history, but it's historical in providential meaning, and the first of its kind. Frankly, even just externally, this building will be one of a kind in all of Korea and perhaps even around the world. But its meaning and value and purpose is uniquely central and conclusive to God's providence. It's the abode of our heavenly parent where millions of people from around the world will come and be revived. This is where we can substantially attend our heavenly parent. And what an environment heavenly parent and true parents are creating. As we think, Mother continues, as we think about the effort invested, the pain, and the waiting that heavenly parent endured throughout the past 6,000 years, a period marked with indescribable emotions of joy and sorrow. The appearance of true parents after 6,000 years of humankind on the Korean peninsula is a day of blessing, gratitude, congratulations, and celebration. As people from all nations, including Korea, can now become heavenly parents' children through true parents. So this is truly a celebration, but at the same time, Mother's remarking on the complex interweave of both joy and sorrow on the journey to get here. Because as joyful as the advent of true parents is, there's also surrounded by sorrow. And we need to understand. So let us continue. The advent of true parents occurred on the 16th day of the 3rd month by the lunar calendar in 1960. For God, however, sending the true parents was very painful, as it was like leaving his children on the bank of a river where they might fall in. He could not take his eyes off of them for even one moment. Now, listen, please carefully digest each and every word. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Mother does not say even one thing, not even one thing. You know, her messages are very short. There's not one thing that she says that is just a filler word or just an unnecessary word. It's all purposeful. And so what is she saying? It's not just poetry. She's talking about God leaving his children on the bank of the river. She's not just painting that picture for poetic atmosphere. Mother's describing the emotion of God. So we can see Mother's relationship with God is completely united. She's continually empathetic and resonating as one with God's heart. And what she's describing here is that as jubilant as the day was, the advent of true parents in 1960, which is centering on the holy marriage supper of the Lamb. Please pay attention to the date here. She's not talking about the advent at either father's birth or mother's birth, but the advent at the holy wedding. This is really the main starting point we have to understand. But even at that point, she's describing God's feeling towards them as a parent leaving his children on the riverbank and not taking his eye off of them. What does that mean? It means she didn't say not taking his hands off of them. There was no safety harness, no safety net. You know, parents, would you leave your children unattended by any riverbank? What she's describing here is that danger was there right in front of them. What she's describing in a sense that although victory is predetermined, it doesn't mean it's going to be easy, and it doesn't even mean that they're going to be victorious necessarily this time. Certainly, we weren't victorious in a short enough amount of time. Mother's saying that 60 years was unnecessary, too long. And that God had to let true parents take on their mission, grow into their role, and danger was there. So you have to understand, what Mother's also explaining to us here is that it's not just about victory or failure. It's not just about black or white. There's many things in between about how the plan can be frustrated. And we know that all of human history is nothing but God's plan frustrated again and again and again, and prolonged again and again. And of course we have victories, but always attached to those victories, there's little things that don't quite go right, and it delays things. And what Mother's really getting at here is that things were delayed also. Even though the advent of true parents had come, it didn't go perfectly. It did not go perfectly. You have to understand. So, God could not take his eyes off of them even for a moment. True parents have spent the last 60 years in such an environment. Not just, 1960, or not just the first 7 years, but the entire past 60 years has been an environment where, as far as God's concerned, at any point, danger is there and something could go wrong. Right? As a result, I am deeply sorry and apologetic to Heavenly Parent. So Mother is apologizing here. Considering that Heavenly Parent had worked for thousands of years to embrace humanity as his children, the 60 years spent in such an unsupported environment may seem a long time, but from the perspective of his providence, 60 years, it can also be considered a short time, right? So from our human perspective, 60 years is a long time, but Mother is also understanding that compared to 6,000 years, you can say, oh, only 60 years, not too long, right? You can think that way. But from the perspective of his providence, however, the human body has limitations. And since the long-awaited dream of our Heavenly Parent can only be realized through true parents, I apologize to heaven that it has taken so long. When Mother was saying this, standing there on stage, I could really feel she's crying, and she's saying sorry. She's saying, I'm sorry, God, that it took so long. Why is True Mother apologizing? What does True Mother have to be blamed for? In what way is Mother at fault? What is Mother guilty of? Can you think of anything? Why is Mother saying such things? Because Mother is fully responsible. As our true parent, Mother is fully responsible for the time that it took. She's saying sorry. So what should we say? Should we say, oh yeah, you should say sorry? Or should we say, yes, Mother, we're sorry too. We're sorry too. We're sorry, Heavenly Parent. And we're sorry to true parents that they have to feel that sorrow of God's heart that it took so long. Don't you think? Please just reflect on that. Please reflect on that. Mother says, now just 1 year remains. You who are gathered here are the leaders and senior members of the Unification Church. You must properly understand the truth about heaven's providence. Therefore, through a 2-day workshop for all of you leaders, there is content that you must understand and thus be able to take responsibility for. And everything with regard to True Parents Advent can be settled from the standpoint that we must welcome May 5, 2023, a time of a new beginning. So, please read Mother's words carefully, and please reflect deeply. And please listen to my words carefully too, because I'm actually simplifying everything. So you should really be able to understand. Mother's not just talking about a workshop, okay? So we've had this 2-day workshop and we received content, and we will be sharing over the next few weeks and months the depth of that content, sure. But right here, Mother's getting us ready. And so that's why today I want you to get ready. I want you to understand more fundamentally and more deeply. So please listen to every word carefully. Through the 2-day workshop for all you leaders, there's content you must understand and take responsibility for. And then everything with regard to True Parents Advent can be settled by May 5. And that's a new beginning point. So, first of all, she's saying you must know the truth of Heavenly Parent. She said you must properly understand the truth of Heaven's providence. What that means is we don't understand the truth of Heaven's providence. What that means is, at the very least, we don't fully understand the truth of Heaven's providence. And so how many times have I mentioned about Mother guiding us about becoming new wineskins? And I've told you before, what does that mean? New wineskin. It doesn't mean partially new wineskin. Essentially, a new wineskin means forget everything you know, forget everything you think you know. But what do? Oh, we forget, we think it means, oh, let's have an open mind. But actually, new wineskin means forget everything, just throw it all away. And then be a new wineskin, and then the new wine, the new wine is the pure new wine of your understanding, okay? So if you leave old wineskin or old bits of wine in there, that old residue will stay stuck. But what Mother's saying is get rid of your concepts, get rid of your preconceptions. That's what she means when she tells us, you know, to become new wineskin. And surely anything of the old wine or the old wineskin that's important will be included in the new wine. You know, many times we worry about letting go of things that mean so much to us. Our identity is wrapped up in it. We gave a 120-day workshop on this content. What, you're saying that part is wrong and that part's not quite right? Well, yeah, sure. But whatever we understood up until this point got us to this point. So don't sweat it. But at the same time, don't be attached to it. Don't be attached. Empty, empty. So I'm saying this to you too. Please empty. Please be empty. If Mother's saying we have to understand the truth of Heaven's providence, it means we don't understand the truth of Heaven's providence. Otherwise, she would not conduct a 2-day workshop. And by the way, originally IHQ was planning for an entirely different workshop. And the day before that workshop started, Mother personally changed everything and guided everything and structured the entire workshop for all the top leaders of the world. So it's not just business as usual. Mother really wanted us to change something about our mindset, our understanding. And this is what she's saying. Not just understand it, but take responsibility for it. Now, connect this to what Mother just said in the previous paragraph about the last 60 years and her apology and how True Parents standing by the bank of the river. There's danger there. Not everything goes according to plan. And in fact, not everything did go according to plan. Things went wrong. We know that. We've been hearing what did Mother mean when she said she had to unbutton the entire coat and restart again from the beginning? Mother's been hinting and leading and guiding us to understand these points for 10 years since Father's passing. She's been frustrated. Her tongue has been, her mouth has been closed. She hasn't been able to freely express. Well, brothers and sisters, what was expressed in this workshop has a lot to do with that. It's like where Mother could finally really put some things straight, set the record straight. Why? So that we can be clean and clear as crystal, new wineskin, new wine, ready for this new era that is opening May 5, 2023. And that so this building, not just a building, but the substance and value and purpose and meaning of this building can be both externally and internally pure and clean and ready to embark on a whole new era, new life, new era. And millions of people just being here, I promise you, just being here will change their life. But she's asking us to help. We have responsibility as members. She's asking us to help. She's asking us to understand and take responsibility. And essentially here, she's asking us to apologize to Heavenly Parent too. And, of course, to even apologize to true parents too. So all of us must reflect. Okay, where was I? So Mother's saying that true parents have spent 60 years in such an environment. This bank of the river, this danger zone, this incredible fight for the victory. Considering that Heavenly Parent had worked for thousands of years to embrace humanity as his children, the 60 years spent in such an... okay, so we've done that. We've read that, right? I think. Let me just in case. Considering that Heavenly Parent had worked for thousands of years to embrace humanity as his children, the 60 years spent in such an unsupported environment may seem like a long time, but from the perspective of his providence, it may also be considered short. Okay, yeah, we read that. However, the human body has limitations. And since the long-awaited dream of our Heavenly Parent can only be realized through true parents, I apologize that it's taken so long. We read that too. But again, what this means is the human body has limitations. That means we can make mistakes. And therefore, mistakes did occur and everything was prolonged. Now, just 1 year remains. You who are gathered here are the leaders and senior members of the Unification Church. You must properly understand the truth about heaven's providence. Therefore, through a 2-day workshop for all you leaders, there is content you must understand and thus be able to take responsibility for. Maybe I'm repeating, right? So what Mother's saying here is, okay, she finally says, because of the corona pandemic, it has been more than 2 years since you were able to come to your home country, Korea. Your home country, Korea, right? You have missed Korea and wanted to see me very much. Haven't you? And then she said, basically she said, so take a good look at me. It was a cute moment. Mother was beautiful, gorgeous. In 1 minute, she's tearing up and she's apologizing to Heavenly Parent. And then she kind of expresses this flower-like blossom of pure love and joy in Mother's heart, saying, you've missed me, right? You've missed Korea. You've missed your home. You wanted to come home to Mama. Well, here I am. Take a good look at me. It was a cute moment. Okay, then Mother says, I'll say a few words at the luncheon later. After the morning ceremony, we came to the Peace Center for lunch. Okay, so she's mentioning, I will share it more deeply later. She's saying, I'm not saying everything now. But in the stadium, she went much deeper. And that was not streamed. That was not televised. And I'm not sure if those words will be, published or not. I have my notes, and I'll, of course, get to sharing all the content with you. But Mother needed to go deeper, and that took place in the luncheon. But here she concludes basically by saying, our lives on earth must be free of shadows. Everything that could cast a shadow must be thrown out. Our appearance, when we ascend to heaven, must be clear, more clear than crystal. Perhaps some of our members have experienced this. I'm not sure what she means by this. Maybe she means our members who have already gone to the spirit world. But what she's saying is that really, please be careful. We need to be careful. We need to be careful. And honestly, we are not careful. So we should be careful. That means our words, our actions, our daily life with our family, our lifestyle, our life of faith, we're all standing by that bank of the river, okay? And Mother's talking about 1 year to really clean everything up and solidify our foundation to be ready for May 5, 2023. If there are any shadows in the 60-year history of the Unification Church, we need to eradicate them and move on. Eradicate them. So, Mother's talking about shadows. No, she's said things like this before. Again, it's like the button comment. It's like when she said, I was in a sandstorm searching for a needle. You know, you look at all of the restructuring that has happened over the years, the last 10 years. Many times, Mother was not satisfied with a certain leader or a certain structure. She needed to, you know, work with certain people for certain periods of time, but then she moved things around. And in one sense, she's always going so fast, but she's been held back, both in what she can express and in what she can do. And it's only us that's holding her back. So please really help True Mother. If there's any shadows in the 60-year history of the Unification, we need to eradicate them and move on. Similarly, if there's any shadows in our lives, we need to eradicate them and move on. And not just that, we need to embrace our community. We need to embrace True Parents. We need to embrace the last 60 years and anything that may have gone wrong. We need to understand and we need to take responsibility for. As for the dates of the workshop, will be from April 19 to 20 at the Chonchim Chombo Training Center. I hope that you will put everything aside and be newly reborn as individuals, families, and churches. From here in the shade, I am gazing upon you in the sunlight, and you look even more beautiful than daffodils. So, you know, that was just Mother's final word. She's on the stage in the shade. It was quite cold because it was still morning time, but the sun was high enough to touch the audience. And by that time, everybody pretty much was in the sunlight, and she said we looked more beautiful than daffodils. So honestly, what does it feel like as a leader being here? Now, already this message is almost 30 minutes long, but let me just give you a few more words. You know, we come here from all over the world. We spend either hours or days or weeks of discussion and preparation, preparing our PowerPoints and our strategies for our region or our nation. And we come here to meet with all of the world leaders. There's always some new education and new reports about what's going on. And then the regional presidents and UPF chairs and Choniwon chairs, they all give their presentations. Everybody listens to each presentation. Maybe they prepare an outing. And it's a workshop for leaders. But Mother scrapped all of that and designed her own workshop based on this content that, you know, she needed us to receive and take responsibility for. So, you know, we come here, you know, really preparing for something, and then everything gets changed. And, you know, it's exciting, actually, but it's also scary because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to be shared. I mean, as it happens, I knew exactly what was going to happen because the content that was shared was content that was already shared with me. And I've been trying to, you know, prepare you also and our leaders for this, you know, Mother, like opening up and just cleaning everything out, you know, cleaning out the closet in a sense. But there's nothing that compared to coming here and receiving education from True Mother and the elders. So this has been a truly important week, and we've had an amazing time. The 2-day workshop is over, and we've had several follow-up meetings, and we're hoping to plan a Asia Pacific One leadership meeting soon, perhaps in Thailand, and where we can invite all of our leaders. Several leaders weren't able to come here, so I want to invite all of you. And we need to be able to, all of us, not just those that came here, all of us need to really be able to understand True Mother's heart deeply. Like Mother said, we need to understand the truth of the providence, and we need to be able to take responsibility for it, and we need to be able to eradicate any shadow in our history, and we need to be able to prepare clean and clear as crystal for a new era, centering on the opening of the Chonwon Gung, May 5, 2023. And please listen to all these words again carefully. Please study throughout the week on PeaceNet. Just reflect, share your testimony on it. But remember what I said also about, new wineskin. Go ahead and just kind of like forget everything you think you know. Everything that needs to be there will be put back. Everything you don't need will be discarded. We've got to this point. We've survived to this point. And as I walk around this incredible environment, meeting and spending time with our leaders and members that are here, I'm just amazed by the faith of every brother and sister, the faith of every brother and sister that has held on until now to support true parents. So God bless you. At the same time, from true parents' point of view, of course, we're never sufficient. We never really understand enough, right? So this is a time when Mother wants us to understand. And she herself has digested everything and taken responsibility for everything. So we too, as a family, need to be able to understand and digest everything and take responsibility for everything. And it may take a little time, but we have only a year. And throughout that year, let us really, really, really prepare well. Externally, to come here and bring our offering, and internally, to become clear as crystal and to become owners of the conclusion of the providence. Remember what I said in my letter to True Mother that I read to you a few weeks ago when I came back. I said that the one sentence that Mother shared in February that struck me deeper than any other sentence was when Mother said, if the truth was revealed about God's only begotten daughter 60 years ago, then Christianity wouldn't have opposed us. You really need to reflect on the meaning of that sentence. It means that the 60 years of indemnity and suffering and arduous course wasn't necessary. We could have worked together with the foundation that was prepared. It doesn't matter whether you're Christian or not. The point is, you can recognize there's a worldwide Christian foundation that if it was supporting true parents, wow, wouldn't that have been great? But it could have happened. And all the reasons that you heard until now were not sufficient explanations. Even what you heard from Father is not the complete story about why Christianity opposed us. The truth is, it was because the truth of God's only begotten daughter was not fully and properly revealed and emphasized. It was mentioned. Father mentioned it hundreds of times. It was mentioned, but it wasn't emphasized. And so, who is responsible for that? I have so much more to share with you. Please don't worry. Everything's going to be beautiful. Everything's going to be fine. But if we try to hold on to old concepts, it will be difficult for you. So please empty, please pray. Mother had us praying until 3 a.m. every night. So all day lectures and then praying and shouting our prayers to heaven until 3 a.m. Because Mother said, right, from the very beginning, I will lead you back to the early days of the church with spirit and truth. Spirit and truth. And so just like God, for 6,000 years, maybe I do this way, for 6,000 years, we've gone through this long course of history. And throughout the providence, God is capturing all of that and sewing it back to the beginning point, where we can stand as if we're starting fresh and clean. That's what God has done. What is True Mother doing? True Mother's taking responsibility for the last 60 years. And she's saying the mistakes were made, things went wrong, it wasn't perfect, but now the conditions have been made and our responsibility to digest and take responsibility. And so just like the last 6,000 years, also the last 60 years, Mother is going back, sewing it back to the beginning point, so that all of that 60 years can be digested and discarded and we can start anew. The advent of true parents in 1960. We stand on that foundation. That was the purpose of creation. That was the purpose of Adam and Eve's life. That was the purpose of Jesus's advent. That was the purpose of true parents' advent, the Holy Supper, the Holy Marriage Supper of the Lamb. That was the key point. That was the time in human history that even God and all of humankind has been waiting for. That is the beginning point of the new world. That is the end point of God's providence. You can say, centering on that point, the whole new beginning commences. And centering on that blessing, we can all inherit the lineage of God and become true children, true sons and daughters of God, and have a home for God, a heavenly abode for Heavenly Parent, where we can attend in substance from everywhere in the world. The frogs are singing. This is our inheritance, brothers and sisters. This is the time. 6,000 years restored back. 60 years, Mother's asking us, let us now in this final year restore everything back to the beginning point so we can be clear and clean as crystal. We can understand and take responsibility and start fresh and clear and new. We're already in the 10th year of Cheon. Mother is already leading. We don't have to live anymore in the era of indemnity. We don't have to live anymore in the era of restoration. We are already in the kingdom of heaven that is being established here on earth. So leave the old wine behind. Leave the old wine skin behind. Look at your spouse right now. Look at your children right now. Look at your parents right now. Stop the tape and have a prayer right now and really make your determination, your prayer, to deeply digest what Mother is telling us and be ready to start anew. And definitely, go make some money and prepare your plane tickets to come out here next year, because this is already gorgeous, life-giving, rebirth. Just going for a walk through the azalea trail up at the mountain is rebirth, let alone what Mother's planning for us there. So, come on guys, let's have an amazing year. Let us deeply inherit Mother's heart. Please watch this message again, take notes, send me your questions, and get ready for more, because there's much more that we want to share with you over the coming weeks and months. And over the course of this year, we will surely raise Asia Pacific One and expand our community to carry more and more True Parents fruits and Heavenly Parents fruits to the altar. Aju. So have a great day. I love you. Miss you all. And 안녕하세요. 사랑합니다 from Korea. It's beautiful. Looking forward to coming together with you. Thank you.